Yeah. Well, a cool, blustery, and wet day in the desert is an ideal time to make a hearty stew for dinner. It's also an ideal time to do some thermos cooking. So today we're working on a recipe-free sausage and vegetable stew. No name and no real recipe. We're just throwing it together. We're starting it on griddle, and when we're done with that, with everything's prepped, we'll go ahead and throw it in a thermos. And we're actually using a thermos crock today. Excited to try that out. And we'll be throwing it in there and let it cook all afternoon. Well, while that sausage stew is cooking in the thermos, I thought I'd share a few scenes from a recent micro-adventure that we undertook. We headed up to the Amargosa Big Dune, which is about an hour or a little more than an hour from where we're staying at this RV park in Pahrump, Nevada. But first, before we made it to the Amargosa Big Dune, we did find a few interesting scenes along the way driving through the desert. The Amargosa Big Dune is kind of interesting. There's not a lot of sand dunes around. It's just right in the middle of the desert. So the tallest dune here is over 500 feet. We went up on a weekday afternoon in hopes of avoiding other traffic up there. This is a BLM managed site, but it is a designated OHV area, so we were hoping on a weekday in January it'd be quieter, and it was. We had the place to ourselves. Unfortunately, we did not count more of the mountains to the west, which caused the sun to be blocked earlier than we were anticipating, so we missed sunset by a few minutes, but it was also quite cloudy, so by the time we got there the light was really flat, and it wasn't really conducive to great landscape photography. But we'll be back again. But in the meantime, we did really enjoy the outing, and we'll definitely be going back and possibly camping up there for a night when we go, because we're almost finished with some remodeling in the van interior, the camper van interior. So we're looking forward to taking that out and doing some camping here in the desert. Meantime, hope you enjoy the rest of these scenes from up around the Amargosa Big Dune, and we'll be right back to check on our thermos cooked sausage stew. Smells good. All right, we're going to sit down and try it out. This is kind of a, it doesn't have a real name. I guess you'd call it a sausage soup or something. We did it in the crock with a thermos cooking, basically. I kind of started everything on the griddle, as you saw, threw it all in the thermos container. This cool thing with this crock is that it has a removable liner pot, so you can put it on the stove and heat it up, and then put the whole thing in the insulated crock. And of course, if you need to reheat it during your cooking process, you can just lift the liner pot out, set it right on the stove, and reheat it again. So that's pretty convenient. We're also, the lights we have tonight, we're working off grid. We are at an RV park in Pahrump, but the power has been out a couple times recently. Every time it rains, the power goes out here, apparently. We're running off our Blue Eddies. We have a limited supply on our house battery in the trailer, but it's getting old and needs to be replaced. But we're running on Blue Eddies right now. So we're grateful for that. We're also grateful that we had dinner cooked ahead of time, so we didn't have to worry about it. So there is something to be said for at least some level of preparedness for when things don't work, like electricity or what have you. So we're going to dive into this and taste test it. Hopefully it came out good. There's no recipe or anything. I've never made anything exactly like this before. We just threw something together, and we'll see how it turned out. Tastes pretty good. There's some of the big Italian sausage links I sliced up and threw in. This will work for a wet, rainy night with no electricity here in the Southwest Desert. Well, thanks for joining us this video, everybody. I'll try and have a list of everything we threw into the stew, or whatever you want to call it, in the video description if you want the list. There's no real recipe. I just went through their fridge and found everything we had that sounded like it would go together good and threw it all in. But thanks for joining us for this video, everybody. We'll catch you in the next one.